Welcome, everybody, to Panfish Nation. Along with Mark, I'm Lyle.
And I'm Mark.
Yes, you are. It is cooled off in my neck of the woods, and I am so happy.
Mine here, too, Lyle. It was pretty cool today. Can't complain.
It's been in the 100-degree range for so long that when we got back to normal temperatures, I was just beside myself. But I'm so glad we have a couple of days break, and then it'll be back up near 100 in a couple of days. So
that's what you were saying. It's 75 degrees here. It hasn't been much warmer than that all day. So
yeah, 78. It got up to 80, but with the no humidity, that makes it lots better. So it's been pretty comfortable the last couple of days and nights, and it tells me it's time to go fishing.
I know I need to get out. I don't have my boat back yet, so hopefully that'll happen soon. And I've been too busy doing all these domestic things around here, and that W work, that work word.
Yeah, I understand. Hey Jody, how you doing? I know that you got a lot going on, but do you have an ETA on when they're going to have your boat back to you?
No idea. I asked them, like, hey, I need to make an appointment to come in and get that stuff done. They're like, well, we don't take appointments. You drop it off and we call you when it's done. I'm like,
yeah, that right there would have been a definite turnoff for me.
yeah, well, it was. So let's see how long it takes,
Right.
I did get good news. Finally got the registration finally settled. That was a nightmare. Had all sorts of issues. And some other stuff came through this week. So I got my building permit for my driveway, and a camera that I had broke got replaced. So I can't complain. Things are going my way.
Did you is the reason you had so much trouble with registration? Did you buy that out of state?
I did buy it out of state, and I kind of messed up. I didn't send the RUT-25 form in when I should have, but we got that all straightened out. And
did you have to send a check?
no, I did not.
Oh, well, hell, that's all. That's not so bad. Yeah. Hey, Joe, but usually when that happens, I get mad and I don't want to send them a check because they already tax everything so much that I feel like they owe me money.
They do owe me money, but they're not going to give it to you. They're like, well, as long as they want proof of how much sales tax you bought. But if you paid more than they think you owe, they're not going to reimburse you that.
Oh yeah, you don't get. That's a donation. Man. That goes to the Biden fund.
Yeah.
Or in your case, maybe the governor's fund.
Chad asks, are they polishing the gold in the? I don't have gold. It's platinum, Chad. Platinum, buddy.
Oh. There we go.
Let me say hello to everybody in chat. What do you say, Lyle? I see 922 Crappie Barbecues in the house. How you doing, sir? There's Chadwick, Fields to Water. What's up, Chad? Get hooked on deep fishing. She's a channel supporter. At least she is, unlike Chad. We got Craig Burgess in the house. Joe Buck 66. He's a channel supporter. What's going on, Joe? There's Lance McCoo guy. Hey, there's Laura the Explorer. How you doing, Laura? Nubby's Catfishing's in here. There's Pontoon Jody. There's Rams Bait and Tackle in San Antonio, Texas. And the great Tim Molina. What's going on, Tim? How are you guys doing? I think that's everybody, Lyle. If we missed anybody or if someone pops in, there's Carolina Catfish just popped in.
Crappie Day Fish on member for 7 months. Greg Burgess, hello from Louisiana.
It's got to be hot down there, Lyle. We complain, but they can complain down there.
Yeah, Rams Bait and Tackle in San Antonio says it's only 103 right now, 107 tomorrow. I have to tell you, you can have that. I don't need it. Oh man, 107.
That's ridiculous. I don't know how you guys can do it. But then when I'm freezing here in the winter, I'm wishing I'm down that way.
Hello, Jody. How you doing?
Look at this joker. Where's he been?
Hey, Ryan. How you doing, buddy?
He's busy playing bumper cars.
Yeah. We say hello to Troy at Real and outdoors?
We have not yet. What's going on, Troy? How you doing, bud?
922 Crappie Barbecue.
I think I did get him though.
Okay.
He's already putting his vote in. Troy says jigs 100%.
Carolina Catfish. Hello, Lance McCouga, the Hawaiian fisherman.
There's Big Skip. You know, Big Skip just got himself a pontoon boat.
Oh, nice.
See, I told you he was playing bumper cars. He says, I've been fishing and crashing cars.
Well, that's what it takes. There's Erwin, the paid tourist. Buddy, how you doing? They're still rolling in. There's Ryan with setting hooks and crossing eyes.
What's going on, Ryan? Ryan, if you're fishing a tournament this weekend, good luck to you. I got an invite to fish tournament out here on the Fox River. I have a wedding to go to, so I unfortunately can't go, but them guys are going to have a good time out there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that's right. So, Mark,
Lyle,
in the hot weather we're having, when you're going after crappie or bluegill or whatever it is, bullheads, are you using bullheads? You're probably using worms or something, but are you using cut bait? Are you using cut bait? Are you using live bait or
dynamite this time of year?
Live bait or artificial stuff?
If I were just out fishing, I'm always using artificial. If I'm looking for bait, chances are I'm using worms, plain and simple. If I'm chasing crappie, I don't use worms for the most part, but I will when I'm searching for them. It doesn't mean you're going to find them that way. That's what cheater scope is for. But I got nothing against worms or minnows. The only thing is, it's having to go and buy them. It's kind of a hassle for me. Bait shops are on the other side of where I fish. You know, keeping minnows alive in this heat always isn't the easiest thing to do. How about you?
Chrissy Brown has joined us.
Hi, Chrissy.
I have mixed feelings about all that. Of course, if I'm using a fly rod, I'm using flies, which that's pretty artificial as you get.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing a lot of here recently. But I like ultralight fishing a whole lot, and I do a lot of jig fishing. I also like to use slip corks and fish worms and cut pieces of small cut bait underneath a slip bobber. Now, with that being said, you can also do jigs that way. They're very effective. So I'm kind of torn between the ultralight way of catching fish and not, but I do enjoy catching them, especially my favorite being bluegill if I can get into some jumbos. The little guys, they're a lot of fun on a fly rod. They really are. But they're a lot of fun on an ultralight too. But the jumbos, I feel more confident in catching them on an ultralight or a light action rod than on a fly rod because a lot of my flies and stuff, I mash the barbs on and they can get off. But after you fight them on a fly rod and fool around with them, I don't want to damage them any more than I have. And if you mash the barbs on those hooks, it's a lot easier just to unhook them and release them, which, let's face it, when they're this big, I'm going to turn them loose probably. But, you know, if I get a 6/8 incher, it's probably going in the bucket.
8-incher for sure. 6-incher, that's a good sized bait fish, if you ask me.
Well, that's what I mean for bait, yeah.
I don't mash the barbs on hooks. I don't think I've ever done that, to be honest with you. I don't fish in streams or anything for trout where they require it. Other than that, I guess I should try. I've never done it though.
Yeah, I don't make any difference about trout. I can't use them for bait, and I don't eat them, so there's no point with that for me. 922 Crappie Barbecue says double jig rig is awesome to come up on ultralights. Yeah, absolutely. It is very effective. I usually try to set the top jig for something that is like an attractor and the bottom one for something smaller to it, but usually catch the smaller fish too. But it seems to me like the bottom one catches the most fish for whatever reason.
If I'm fishing in current, I do just the opposite. I'll put the heavier jig on the bottom just to keep that line kind of taut, and then a longer loop for the one that's on top, and that usually works out pretty good. I call those river rigs is what I call them when I use those. If there's any current,
you don't think that having the lighter one on the bottom will give it more action?
Well, it might, but when you're fishing in a current, having a one 32nd ounce jig trying to get it down to the bottom doesn't work very well.
No, it's a slow sink, and a 1/80th is a lot slower.
Yeah, it wouldn't even most currents that I fish when I'm fishing for panfish, you wouldn't be able to get a jig down there. Like if I'm on the Wisconsin River, if you don't have at least like 1/8 of an ounce on the bottom, you're not getting in there because there's a lot of volume, not just current in water there. You're trying to get down 13, 15 feet. You got any current at all.
Yeah, you're not going to get down there with
You're not going to get down there,
no. And what's the point of putting on a split shot to help you get down there when you can just tie on a larger weight jig?
You'll get hit on that bottom one too, and usually it's a decent sized fish when you do, but most of the time it's on that top one. And I use like a 6-inch dropper loop on the top one, so it's got a little bit of action in that current, so that works out pretty good.
Which brings me to another question. Do you think it makes a difference if you're using a bigger, heavier weight jig head, maybe the same size hook, but the head itself is bigger, say 8th ounce, 16th ounce, over a smaller one that is 1/32nd, 1/64? Do you think the head makes any difference other than fall rate?
And fall rate is the big deal. I mean, if you're using, let's say, ice fishing jigs that are tungsten, you get a little tiny one that weighs a little more. It's not going to make that big a difference in silhouette size, but it definitely is going to make one in the rate of fall. And in the dog days of summer, you probably want a smaller or controlled fall rate if you're catching them on the drop. But you can always simulate that too, like with that double, river rig that I use, just by the rate you're jigging it, and that longer dropper loop can kind of simulate a slow drop rate if you play it right. And cheater scope helps you figure that out too. So a lot of times you can't beat a slip bobber too. You just want to keep
work really well
right in front of them. I know a lot of guys this time of year that are fishing timber. They just want to keep that bait right in the zone for as long as they can, and them fish just can't resist it after a while.
That's exactly right. And they're so adjustable, Mark. You just move your bobber stop up and down. You can go shallow with them. You can go really, really deep with them. And with a loop type hookup on your jigs, you can just change them out really quick.
I have those little I forget what they're called. They're the little quick connects for jigs, which work pretty well. If I'm rifling through a bunch, I'll tie 1 or 2 on there on whatever rig I'm using, and they just kind of come clipped right off, and you just clip them right back on. And
those work really well, especially if you're having sighting problems with smaller line. They work really well.
That's no joke, especially if you're using really lightweight. So I bought them for the most part for the winter when I'm using 2-pound test, 1-pound test, and I got to tie a jig when it's ice cold outside. My hands are numb, so I don't have to do it that way.
That's exactly right. Josh says, "Give me live bait every day and twice on Sundays." He must not like his jigs that he ties. I prefer hand ties. I've got tons and tons of plastics. I keep worms in my refrigerator in the garage, and I've thrown away 2 boxes already this year because I just haven't used them. Every time I go out, I'm using hand ties of one kind or another, and they catch at least 3 times more than plastics for me. And live bait is really close. I will say live bait is the action. Them fish have seen live bait their entire life. They
Well,
know what that is.
I've had times where I've come across fish that won't bite a minnow, but then you put, a Monkey Milk Bobby Garland little swimmer shad on there, and they'll go crazy after that. Same kind of silhouette. They're both the same size, if anything, and for some reason, I couldn't tell you. It just makes a difference.
And it does, and on any given day, it will be different. I think it depends on pressure. I think it depends on sunshine, wind. A lot of variables will change what fish do throughout the day.
Another reason why I'm not a big fan of live bait is having to rebait all the time.
That's true.
If you got a bunch of minnows, you're going through them pretty quick, whether you're casting them off or they're falling off or you're getting a hit on them or they're pulling them off a hook. I'd rather have, a hand tie on there or a plastic on there that I can just recast right away, get back on the fish. So,
well, let's face it, minnows I don't think stay on as good as worms.
No.
If they hit it once, it's usually gone for me.
And at $4 a dozen too, they're kind of crazy.
Is that what they are? I haven't bought any in several years.
I bought 4 dozen for $16 the last time I was out.
Thanks, Joe. That's horrible. $4 a dozen. Wow. Had no idea it was that much.
Well,
not that bad here.
Uncle Sam has to get his cut too, so I'm talking after taxes, but
wow.
Biden.
That's exactly right, man. That's exactly right. That's ridiculous. I'm not saying fishing is unaffordable, but at some point it's going to have to stop. You know what I mean?
I understand. I mean, there's no reason why I'm not. If I'm looking for worms, I'm going to start looking underneath rocks in my backyard. I actually have a couple of big pieces of some flat limestone pieces on the dark side of my house that I have for need to get some worms. I just go look under there. But
I've told you, and I don't remember if we've mentioned it on the show or not. I probably have. But in the spring, when we get all the rain, I go out at night. And I can pick up night crawlers this long. They'll be crossing the street and in my driveway, just by the hundreds, and they're in the grass, and all you got to do is reach down and pick them up. But I've had very, very little issues keeping them, or a very hard time keeping them, because I always try to put them in the refrigerator. And after you told me that not to do that, I'd probably save them. Then we had all this hot weather, and I didn't get to get any this year, but we will try that next year and see if that makes a difference, because my yard is just full of them. And I attribute that to why the moles are so bad in my yard, because they got plenty to eat.
They got plenty to eat. That's no joke right there. They love worms. I know somebody who had one as a pet, and that's exactly what they would feed them. And they got pretty fat and happy.
Had a mole for a pet?
Yeah, this
really?
person had everything. Had moles and snakes and spiders and.
Hello, Robert. Welcome to the show.
922 says he can get 60 crappie on 2 dozen minnows. So you're a better man than me.
Yeah, me too. I never could get them to last that long.
If you're using minnows, Lyle, where are you hooking them?
I'm hooking them in the lips.
Yeah, right through the nose, right through the nostril.
Yep. That's
if I'm slip corking them, I'm hooking them through the back.
Yeah, that probably is better for slip corking. But
how deep I'm going, definitely. If they're just on a regular spring bobber, then I'll hook them through the lip. So
yeah, and I'm usually using a size 2 crappie hook. Seems to work really well. Maybe a 4, but 2's usually is what I use. And another thing to do that I think that people forget about is jig fishing and putting a minnow on on the back of the jig on the hook. I think that's a very effective way, and it'll get them down there quick. You get them on down there, and the action of that minnow that it makes on its own, plus the jig going up and down, and the waves and wind and stuff, I think is very effective.
A lot of guys that were spider rigging before, livescape around, they were known for doing that, putting whole minnows on their jigs, using oversized hooks and putting minnows on the actual jigs, and that would help them a lot. I know in the winter, if I'm ice fishing, I'll tear the head off a minnow and put it on a jig and spoon, and that's all the set you need. That'll work real good right there. So
Why do you tear the head off?
they just like the scent travels slower in colder water, I imagine. I'm just guessing here. I'm no expert or anything, but that's just the way I was taught. I put whole ones on there. If you're pan fishing, they're just gonna nip at the end of it and tear it right off the hook.
Right.
Also, I saw a video, I think it was from 3 Pound Crappie, if I'm not mistaken. He was in a tournament on Grenada, and they were spider rigging back in the day. And they weren't getting any bites until they put wax worms. They were tipping their jigs with wax worms, Lyle.
Wax worms are a really, really good bait for bluegill in the wintertime.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do for crappie, but what's that?
You ever get a smell of them? They're
not real pleasant. They're not real pleasant, but I smelt worse. Open up some Danny King punch bait sometime.
I just gave away a whole gallon of that to a very happy person.
It saved me a couple times. I mean, I don't use it, but I've told this before. My buddy Keith and I was in a tournament, and we pre-fished all week above the dam at Clarksville, Missouri, on the Mississippi River. And come tournament day, couldn't buy a bite. At noon, we didn't have a fish in the boat, and we was culling in 30 minutes. We moved behind an island, put Danny King's punch bait on, and was reeling fish in. They wasn't very big, but we was reeling them in one night after another. We finished 14th out of 107 boats with them fish because nobody was catching any.
Nobody was catching anything. Hey,
we turned in a 5 fish limit, a channel cat that we caught on that punch bait and got 14th. So
this is the time of year where punch bait works pretty good because of the water temps.
Yeah, that's right.
The warmer the water temp, the more that stuff's going to dissolve in the water, and that scent's going to travel.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that. And you get a little current to go with it, it really goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a spot behind an island and a bunch of rocks, and it was loaded up with channel cat, and we just laying them out one right after another. Everybody else going for blues and stuff, and most of the ones that beat us, they only had 1, maybe 2 fish. They just, but they was bigger fish, But it is what it is. Troy says in the summertime in Texas, jig type or profiles make all the difference. For instance, on Louisville, tube jigs are great. Hot water bait. I know another guy that likes tube jigs a lot.
Yeah, Mr. Dockery does.
That's right.
I was watching an interview. I think it was maybe even on SK's channel. I forget what the gentleman's name is, and he was talking about how silhouette might even make more of a difference than color does. I would agree up to a point, I guess. I don't know, but then again, I'm not on the crappie trail or anything. So there's some crappie baits that I've tried to use that I've had no luck on. Like they kind of look like tube jigs, but they're not. They got big fan tails on them. Never caught anything on those. But that could just be because we don't have 2 pound crappies very, very readily available around here.
That could be. It's hard to determine those things if you don't have the size fish that it takes to acquire them. We're down there where SK's at, they got a lot of 2 pound crappie.
They do. Down by Josh, I think they do pretty good on Rend and Lake Egypt. They got some bigger ones. Pompetier, they got to have some nice fish out by you, don't they, Lyle?
They do. Yeah, I just don't fish for them, but there's a lot of good ones now. I plan on doing some crappie fishing over there this fall and into the winter. When it gets too cold for me to get the boat out, I think we'll go to the dock and see if I can make that operate this year. I never have. But they just catch too many fish over if not to be part of that. And it's not that far.
When I get my boat back, I'm gonna go do a little pan fishing out on the chain, get out on the lake, see if I can't find some perch or find some summer crappie out there, and try to get them figured out. Change it up a little bit. So I'm
Do
getting
you
tired of
have
fishing at night, is what I'm saying.
Do you have the yellow perch?
We do have yellow perch. Up on the chain, it's just finding them isn't. Well, I got a couple of people that tipped me off, and I'm very grateful for it. So we'll try a couple of spots.
Are they schooling fish?
They sit in piles. I wouldn't call them schools. There's in piles of them, but pretty much what they told me is they pretty much where walleye are, only shallower, outside of reeds and beds and stuff like that, outside of rocks. Bottom fish for a lot of them to start with. So we'll give it a shot.
I know I see these guys talk about walleye being deep all the time, and all the walleye I ever caught was shallow water fishing for crappie.
Yeah, this time of year, walleye is going to be they're in the summer. They're pretty much always in the weed beds.
Right.
At least on a lake. As far as the river goes, I don't know. I haven't figured them out on my river yet. But anytime I've ever caught any walleye, it's always been in the weeds in the dead of summer.
Yeah. Always. I never target them, but I catch them when I'm fishing for crappie in the spring. Welcome, Danny. Glad to see you in tonight. But it seems like we just wear them out when we get into them. You just kill them. But I know Eric Massey has been specifically targeting walleye here lately with some success, and good for him.
I talked to him about that a little bit. He gave me some tips on how he's going about finding them and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not going to waste my time on walleye. If I'm going to eat fish, they're not any more fun to catch than anything else. In fact, they don't fight that hard, I don't think. But I don't think crappie do either, and they're not near as good to eat as crappie. So, from my taste buds, anyhow. So I'm not going to target them. Am I going to throw one back? No, I'm not. I'll eat him. But if I'm crappie fishing, I get one. That's fine. If I don't, I'm not going to waste my time learning how to catch them, because as far as I'm concerned, they're just not that good to eat. But they're not a catfish. They're not a crappie. They're not a bluegill. But
I understand.
That pretty much covers it for me, But you either eat them or you're just eating fish. So at least freshwater, I do like cod pretty well. In fact, I had 2 filet of fish sandwiches for dinner tonight.
Before dinner or for dinner?
For dinner.
Oh, for dinner. I thought you said before dinner. I was going to say that's quite the appetizer there.
Yeah, Cindy had to buy one, get one, so she got me that and a box of fries, and I was good to go.
What are those filet fish? Those are pollock, aren't they?
I don't know.
I think they are. I think they are pollock.
They probably are. I told you that we go to Sam's Club and they have pollock and they have cod. I get a box of each, and I come home and get some hamburger buns and put a piece of cheese on it, warm them babies up, slip a piece of fish on there, and I got my own fish sandwich.
Fish, it's probably even better.
It actually is.
Yeah.
It's as good anyhow.
Speaking of which, I did have some crab legs this weekend. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, they look pretty good. Yeah, I seen a picture of some crab legs. They look pretty good. I like crab legs. They're a lot of work to get out,
Man, I got no problem getting the meat out. I'm pretty good. I'm proficient, let's say.
Proficient. It's kind of like crawfish.
There's the $5 word for the night for me. Proficient.
Crawfish are really good eating, but man, they're a pain in the ass to go through. But the reward is kind of worth it. There's something wrong with him.
Josh, those filet of fishes are not nasty.
No, they're good.
You let him on Catfish Weekly.
I do. Every Monday night.
As far as I'm concerned, the filet of fish is the only thing that's edible on the McDonald's menu.
It's probably my favorite. Arby's has a great fish sandwich. I really like it, but I think they've discontinued them. And that's something. It's kind of like the McRib. Why gear us up for something that's actually pretty good, and then just have it for a short period of time and take it away? You should be shy for doing
I heard
that.
a story behind that, Lyle. Give me 1 second here to share that with you.
Okay.
When we had our place in Indiana, a lot of the people that had summer cottages down where we were at were pig farmers in Indiana, and that's where McDonald's was getting their pork for the McRib sandwiches. Well, those farmers got together, band together, and tried to stick it to McDonald's and charge them more because McDonald's wanted to make it a regular menu item. McDonald's says, no, thank you. Have a nice day, and made it just a seasonal one. That's the story.
I don't blame them, man.
So
I don't blame them. That's Democrat society right there for you.
Mm-hmm. Jody says she likes crab legs and she likes McRibs.
I like McRibs. It was pretty good. But yeah, I have a hard time with cod, pollock, and 2 or 3 of those white fish that come out of the oceans. I have a hard time distinguishing one from the other, but I like them all, so it doesn't really matter. Halibut's another one that's really good. A little more expensive than the others, but those they just go well with bread and tartar sauce and cheese.
They do. We got to get you to eat some fish tacos, Lyle. Once you get into those, then you're going to forget about that fillet of fish.
I was this close the other night over at Palm de Terre of having a shrimp taco, but I basically had a shrimp burrito out of what they served me. Man, it was so good. It just was awesome. Danny Stone says when they put those fish fillets together, it looks like they are throwing the cheese from across the room. It never centered on a sandwich.
He ain't lying. And then we had this conversation too. They used to put a whole piece of cheese. Now they only put half a piece of cheese on those if you take a look at them.
And the bun used to be this big around, and the fish was that big around, and now they're like this. Mm-hmm. So you got to eat 3 or 4 of them. It's like getting a Whitey's.
Isn't that called Biden's sizeflation?
I believe it is.
Okay.
It is in my mind anyway.
I think this is where I'm supposed to reel you in, but we're not going to do that anymore.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say anything about it when it's true.
Yeah, we've gotten past that point.
Yeah, I think so. But it is what it is. We can change that. Everybody, next year about this time, we're going to be gearing up for a huge election. So make yourself heard.
We'll talk about that after the show.
That's right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which side, but do your due diligence. Make it intelligent.
A bad economy is bad for fishing because people keep a lot more fish.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that. There's no one loves to eat fish more than me, and no one hates to clean them no more than me.
Yeah, that's me right there.
But I will, as long as people practice selective harvest and don't take all the breeders out. If you get one that's deep hooked or you can't stop it from bleeding, that's one thing. But throw the breeding fish back, the good breeders. You get one that's all skinny or it's got something wrong with it. It probably don't need to be in the pool anyhow. Of course, I'm not going to eat one like that. But take the smaller fish. Fish are no different than any other animal that we eat on Earth. The smaller ones are always the better eaten. It's just the way it is. You don't see people cutting steaks off of a 10-year-old bull that weighs 2,500 pounds. You just don't. They grind them up in hamburger. They use the small steers and stuff for beef.
Let's not badmouth hamburger. Let's not badmouth hamburger because I like a good burger.
Oh, I love hamburger, but I'm just saying the meat is tough on older stuff, and fish are no different.
Danny, there's a lot of truth to that statement. We'll talk about that later too.
Yeah, I'll take my chances with that. But it is what it is. But yeah, we got some stuff coming up. Everybody needs to be paying attention. Sean T. Outdoors says that's like them baby deer. They so tender can cut the meat with a spoon. That's a fact. A yearling Doe or buck, doesn't make any difference. Some of the best eating wildlife you can put in your mouth. But yeah, that's just with any species of wildlife that we harvest, whether it be domestic or not. And Cindy and I got offered a chance to buy a pig, and we took half of one because our freezers are so full. It'd be ready in a couple of weeks, and it's not a 800-pound boar. It's that's just not what you want to eat. It's smaller, so it's going to be good. I can't wait to get it. It'll be a couple of weeks. It's in the butcher shop now, and that's the kind of things we look for. And the next time one comes available, I hope we have our freezer cleaned out a little bit. We take the whole thing. I might have the whole thing turned into sausage.
Danny Stone says the best deer still has milk on its lips.
That's a fact, man. Mark, I know we're off tangent. We get off every time.
We do.
There's a guy that has a YouTube channel. His name is Tony Tone. I don't know if you watch him or not.
I'm not familiar with that channel.
He does barbecue stuff, and he has a new side deal smoker.
Okay.
And he done a whole hog on it this week.
Nice.
You should check it out. Oh, man. I can almost taste it as I watched the video. It looked awesome. Name's Tony Tone.
Tony Tone, T-O-N-Y, Tone, T-O-N?
T-O-N or T-O-N-E. I don't remember how he spells it. But
just send me a link, that's all. And
I'll send you a link to it. He done a whole hog in that smoker. I don't know how he got it in there. Well, I do because I watched him, but he got that whole thing in there, and he only spun it around, turned it around backwards one time.
One time.
And what did he tell me that thing weighed in that video? I want to say 65 pounds.
Oh, it's a
big pig. Big pig to do that. So
I can fit a 30-pound suckling pig in my smoker. It's not a very big one, but I'll fit one in there if I do them racing style. But Sheila won't let me do that because I plan on leaving the head and have it smiling the whole time.
That's what he done. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't want that. So
she wants the head off.
Yeah, I can do that too, though.
Yeah, I just hate to.
I hate to waste the jowls because that's so much good meat up in there.
Put that in some ham and beans. Oh,
not even that. You just make that into tacos as well. The best parts make
the best. You're going to turn into a taco.
I'm telling you, I love tacos. You don't have to wash utensils when you're done. Just lick your fingers clean and you're good to go.
Oh man, okay. While we're off topic, I gotta ask: did you ever eat any pickled pig's feet?
I've never had pickled pig feet. I imagine they taste like Vienna sausages, though, because they're pretty gross.
My mom used to sit and eat them out of a jar when I was a kid growing up, make me sicker than a dog. I don't know how she done that because she was very particular about what she ate, but she'd eat them nasty things. And I'm sure they're good, but I ain't eating one.
I've had head cheese before.
I'm not eating that either.
And blood sausage. So I've had my share of some pretty questionable delicacies, we'll call them, Lyle. There's another $5 word, folks.
Hey. Troy says, when I was able to hunt, I never bought meat. I ate deer meat, wild hog, and fish. Yeah, I got you, man. Danny says pickled pig's feet are awesome. Pickle them hocks are better. Okay.
Speaking of ham hocks, we will go to an Italian restaurant here and they'll make pork ossobuco, which is pretty much a pickled ham hock. Not a pickle, but I mean, it's a pig's ham hock. It's delicious.
I'm going to touch on this for a minute, and I'm probably going to make some people mad. But I do like Wednesday nights. I was so butthurt when James Smith didn't offer that to me and offered it to Kevin when he was getting out after everything that we had done for him over the years. I mean, butthurt. And then when I announced that we was going to go live on here, I instantly got a message from Kelly. He was all pissed off about it, which I could give a damn less. I made the announcement that we was doing that, and we're doing it, and we're going to continue to do it. And now everybody that's doing anything gets on Wednesday night and tries to do something. I find that very disrespectful for anybody. If somebody's got a show at a certain time every week, it is extremely disrespectful for anybody else to go live during that period of time. If they've been doing it for a year or two or three, nobody done it to James. Very few people do it to Catfish Weekly. It does happen, but it's disrespectful. And if they don't care any more about that, then they don't deserve to get any views, likes, or anything else. That's my opinion. If you don't like it, tough cookies.
I agree.
Just the way I feel about it.
I understand.
You know?
I understand fully, my friend. Shanti Outdoor says, nah, I'll pass on the pickled pig feet, lips, tail.
I agree.
I agree, Mark. Specialty meat, tacos are it.
I never heard of a fish taco until you started bringing them up.
Oh, did you ever hear of something, a lingue taco, which is pretty much cow tongue? Oh, delicious, Lyle.
That's right.
Delicious. Cow tongue is delicious on tacos.
Yeah, I'm not eating no cow tongue either. ain't happening. Ain't happening. But Tim, this is not TV. None of us getting paid enough to do this for any particular reason. It's not the same. We don't have $1 million a minute sponsors.
Craig says, hello, guys. That is Cajun delicious.
Must be talking about the pig's feet.
Well, you know, down in Louisiana, if it don't eat it, if it doesn't eat them, they eat it. I was told by somebody one time.
Yeah, I think Texas guys are like that too. But I know Louisiana guys are. Look at Creole. I'm pretty sure he'll eat anything.
I don't know. We'll have to ask him next time we see him.
I don't like beef liver or pork liver.
I'll have liver.
I like chicken liver.
That's the extent. Dan, so note to self: eat at Mark's house. Sorry, Lyle. Filet of fish don't stand up to cow tongue.
I ain't eating no cow tongue. No, I remember watching movies where they used to eat buffalo tongue.
Well, you know, they did that back in the Wild West. They just killed the buffalo for only the tongues and the hides.
And I ain't doing that either. I got buffalo right outside of town here.
Shanti Outdoor says, nah, not true, Mark. We do have our standards. You guys pretty much eat when you eat stuff, you do it right, though, Shanti. I ain't gonna even sugarcoat it.
I used to live in Texas. I live in Ballinger. Well, it's not really South Texas, more Midwest Texas, but man, it was hot down there. I
was going to say, I wouldn't survive the heat down there, to be honest with you.
The winds, the sandstorms, we'd sweep the garage and shut the doors down, had swamp coolers for air conditioning in the shop I worked in. 5 minutes later, a sandstorm would move through and it'd blow sand up underneath all the big garage doors. And it was worse than it was before you swept to that. Yeah. And scorpions. Oh my God. Lots of scorpions. I didn't care much for them either. Really didn't like them scorpions. Had one in the closet one time, moved some stuff. The kids was playing in it, found a scorpion, rolled the sheets back on the bed one time. One of the little bastards was in the bed. Yeah, I didn't like scorpions at all.
I bet a scorpion would make good bait now that we're talking about it.
I don't know if it would or not. I've seen people have chunks missing out of like a spider bite, you know, where them scorpions would sting them. I ain't fooling with them. We put one in a fruit jar, screwed the lid on it, and it lived for 2 weeks with no air. So, yeah, they're pretty tough.
Kirk Burgess says, you guys need to learn how to cook. I'm a pretty good cook, actually.
I do
Tim
all right.
says it's all about how you prepare it. See, I think Tim knows what I'm talking about.
He probably does.
Good stuff.
David Smith says, "Well, I just had a New York strip, so y'all can eat all the tongue and liver you want." I'm with you, Dave.
You know what I had for dinner, Lyle? I had a bacon and tomato sandwich.
I like them a
with some
lot.
homegrown tomatoes.
Yeah, I like that too.
Weren't grown in my home, which makes it even better.
I've got a whole bunch of them coming on out in my house. They're just not making fast enough. I got millions of them, looks like on my plants, but they're just not ripening quick enough. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Oh, Danny. There's something wrong with you.
Danny says, I eat squirrel brains. Not much you're going to find I won't eat.
My dad used to eat brains and eggs, and they're nasty. They're just horrible.
Hey, there's Austin and Fish and Fever. There's LG Bass. What's going on? I know him and I saw a picture on Facebook, I believe, of him and Aaron got on a couple of good ones last night, I think.
Yeah, I heard they did. I didn't see it. I was in bed, I guess. There's Eric Massey.
There's our buddy Eric. We were just talking about you. His ears must have been ringing.
Probably so. I understand that Eric has changed his work schedule, so we'll get him on here one of these nights when he ain't got nothing to do. Danny has drank too much of that river water. I think you might be right about that. Yeah, Jody, you're right too. Danny, you are nutty as squirrel brains. That was good. That was really good.
I wonder if squirrels eat a lot of nuts. I wonder if their brains taste a little nutty.
Danny would be the guy to ask for that.
Danny, can you answer that question?
Okay, Eric, I'll send you a message.
Melina says, yep, Mark, lettuce is just a waste of time. No reason to eat lettuce, no flavor, no nutrition, no calories, no nothing.
They're not even a good filler. That's it. I'm popping in a squirrel and doing a catch, clean, and cook.
I would watch that, Danny. Definitely.
Yeah, me too.
I'd even share that one out.
I'm thinking if I was going to use squirrel brains, I'd put it in some of that netting and try it for fish bait. That's about as close as I'm going to do it. I mean, damn, Mark, the brain can't be no bigger than your fingernail.
Yeah, I was watching an episode of Duck Dynasty where Mama, what's her name? Their mother, the patriarch of the family,
right?
I forget what her name is. She loved squirrel brains. They showed her eating in one episode. I was like, did she just? Yeah, I think she did.
Fish and Fever, welcome. I'm just saying, there's not enough there. That'd be less than a crawdad tail. You know, see no reason to waste my time on that. Holy crap.
Crawdads are pretty good. They're not my favorite water bug, but they're pretty good.
They're just, they're a lot of work.
Yeah, they're not that much.
Well, they are for me, but.
You said the same thing about crab, and I'm good at that. I'm good at squeezing the meat out of a crawfish tail too.
Yeah, I like that. They're good eating. It just takes so many of them. And when I had it, we had a table full of corn and potatoes and shrimp and everything else under the sun. And I like that stuff really, really well too.
Yeah, so. Mama K. Yeah, that's right. Now, how you doing, Nubby? Yeah, I watched that show too. I see that quite a bit. I like them Robertson boys. They're good people.
They are good guys. He was one of the guys that was really big into duck hunting when I used to duck hunt. I had a lot of his duck calls, still do somewhere. I just have to find them. But made really good stuff at a reasonable price. And that was and another thing that was easy to blow. And for a hardcore smoker like I was in those days, the easier to blow the duck call was, the better it was for me. I can peel crawfish faster than you can eat them.
I'll tell you what, Danny. Why don't you get a couple sacks of crawfish, and me and Lyle come down there. We can
You can
test.
peel them, we'll eat them.
I wonder what a sack of crawfish costs.
I don't know, but
Sean T would know.
they done that when we was at Alabama one year. Some good friends of ours had rented a cabin, and a bunch of us went over there, and they had a gunny sack full of them. 3 cookers going. They was boiling them in on the back porch, and I enjoyed myself a lot. Hello, guys. We just Cajuns, don't shoot just one. Okay. Crawfish is high. Yeah, I'm sure that's right.
Everything's high.
Yeah, it is. It is. Except salaries. In comparison, I mean.
That no joke there.
In comparison.
No joke there. Now you got me thinking, what am I going to cook this weekend, Lyle?
I don't know what I'm going to do, but I feel like I feel something coming on, and we'll see.
I'm
I
gonna
have pork butts left, so
I'm gonna make some Chicago barbecue. Do you know what Chicago barbecue is, Lyle?
no, but you can
2
tell me.
words: rib tips.
Rib tips.
That's what they do good here in Chicago. Rib tips. Maybe I'll make some of them, which means I got to get some St. Louis spare ribs to go to get those rib tips off of.
Imagine that. Have to go to the good city to get the bad stuff. That's like the Cubs playing the Cardinals.
Oh, only if they're playing at Bud Light Stadium. Oh, sorry, that's Bush Stadium. Sorry.
Hey, Christina, you're right.
Hi,
That
Christina.
is just wrong. Oh man, we used to use.
So I'm late to the party. What is one bait both of you would use in the summer for crappie if you could only use just one?
Hand ties.
I'd use Monkey Milk, Bobby Garland plastics, or for crappie, yeah. If the 2 baits, depending on the size, I would use either the Berkeley Gulp minnows, like I always say. I'm sure everybody's bored of hearing me say that, or a Bobby Garland. Those would be my 2 for a hot. And I don't fish for them that much in the summer. I'll long line troll for them. I've done that in the past, which I do better than fishing for them. But I haven't had live scopes. I haven't had the chance to really sharpshoot them as of yet, or dock shoot, because I've never done it. I'd like to. I got a B&M dock shooter rod that I need to learn how to use.
Dock shooting is a lot of fun, and Lake the Ozark being the #1 tourist place, it's full of docks. In fact, there's so many docks on it that you can't buy a permit to put another one on Lake the Ozarks. They've stopped it, so that's really good. But for bluegill, hand ties for me, small ones. I've got a couple of new ones that I just have come up with. One of them's going to be called Dog Pecker Net. It's a little bitty. I think that it's going to be amazing bug as a secondary underneath a floating rig. I think it'll kill them, but that's just me. I'll know here in a few days.
Austin says, I love duck, Chinese style. Peking duck's pretty darn good. Crispy skin and all. Look at this. We got them all started on barbecue. I'm going to smoke ham and pork butt, pulled pork. There you go.
Christina says, I'm a barbecue snob, though. Once you have a great barbecue, you turn into a snob. Oh, that's a hoot out there. Hey, yeah, I'm not sure we can do a show without talking about food. Maybe.
No, I'm not going to take that bet because I don't want to lose. Fish and Fever says, I like curly tail, blue and silver on white. 1/16-ounce jig's head has always been his go-to. The curly tail's been around for so long, you can catch any fish on those. They're kind of like it's the plastic version of an inline spinner, if you ask me.
I think that I've showed these to you, Mark. Let me see if I can find a way to display them. I'm going to try these really quick. That's just over an inch or just under an inch long. Them some really tiny plastics. I'm excited about trying them bad boys. This one's pink. I have them in a variety of color. Got them from Little Miss Bacon Baits. Um, I think they'll work really well. Uh, I just been too busy with other things to get out and test them, but I think that they will. I think them are going to be bluegill getting machines. I really do. But
Turner Fishing we had on here over at Crappie Man. He loves them little baits this time of year.
yep,
And he puts a lot of fish in a bucket.
I know another guy that puts a lot of fish in the boat, and he likes the small ones too. Smaller the better. But the bait I'm talking about that I just done is half this size. It's more like 3/8 to a half inch, depending on how I'm doing it when I tie them. And they're just buggy looking.
What's going on? Hey Dawson, what's going on, bud? Danny says folks around here love barbecue goat.
Yeah, but the towel heads down there.
Oh, Jesus, Lyle. Oh my goodness. Reeling it in.
That's not what they do, though. I never cared for goat. Me either. I never eat it. I've smelt it being cooked a couple times, and it didn't really smell very well.
It's food. I've had it. It's edible.
What's the Euros made out of? Euros? What are they made out of?
The Euros are made out of lamb, and they're made out of lamb, chicken, and pork. They're kind of like the Greek hot dog, to be honest.
I had a guy buy me one of those one time when I worked at a place, and I didn't like it either. Just kept chewing it. You know what I mean?
Oh, not the ones up here. If you got one up here, you wouldn't be chewing it.
I just didn't care for it. It's just not my thing.
I didn't like the lamb chops when I was younger, but now if you can get a hold of a good one that's cooked right, nice medium rare, and you're good to go. Lamb chops are pretty good.
I think that's like everything. My aunt, when I was a kid, we went out to her house, and my cousins had killed a deer, and she soaked it in milk and done this and done that, and it was the worst thing I'd ever put in my mouth. Nobody could eat it. They did because they was used to her cooking, but none of the rest of us could eat it. And I wouldn't eat deer for the longest time. And the next time I ate it, it was fantastic, and I haven't slowed down since. But I think that is with anything. You can eat anything prepared by the wrong person or that tastes bad, and it's going to be bad in your mind from then on out. And a lot of times, if you'll try something that somebody else has cooked and not know what it is, you'll like it. And then that's different. Hey, Dan, welcome.
What's going on, Dan? How you doing, bud? Josh says, Euros are great. Johnny's, meats, and Joliet.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm just not a fan of the. We had, like I say, we had them here. Come from a place in Springfield. I'll never eat there again, and I don't want no part of them things. So, if you get the right one, it might be all right.
Any finish possible. How you doing, bud? Yeah, Euros are pretty good. Only problem is if you got too much onions on them, my wife will make me sleep on the couch.
Oh, well. I like onions, so. That's
There's so much good stuff out there. I need to I've been hankering a little bit of fish, so as soon as I get my boat back, which is another reason why I'm going to chase some more panfish, fill the box up, bring them home, have me a fish fry. So I'm looking forward to that.
One of the things that Pomme de Terre Lake is known for their crappie fishing. Has good bass fishing in it, but it's known for crappie fishing. And there's also a very healthy supply of bluegills. And I understand some of them are really big. I've not got into the big ones yet, but I understand there is a good supply of them over there. And I like eating bluegill, and I like eating crappie. I'll eat bass, but just because they eat crappie and bluegill, that's, everyone that gets caught will go home with me because of that reason. Now, catfish I dearly love, and I understand that Pomme de Terre has very few, if any, blue cat in it, which is fine and dandy with me. because I also understand that they are loaded up with channel cat, and I like eating channel cat, and you can catch a lot of them. So I'm thinking if I get a bunch of the small ones, uh, small bluegill, cut them up, and do like we do in Mendota, use that for bait on the channel cat. If I get into a bunch of them, I will grab my limit and come home with them because I like to eat them.
Bluegill's good. I think Eric's talking about blue cats. He can't find them out there either. I'm guessing that's what he meant.
Yeah, I've been told that there's not any blue cats in there. If there is, it's very, very few. Nobody that I know of has caught any, and they claim that there's some in there, but nobody's ever seen one. So what does that tell you? If I'm going to go catch blue cats, of course, then I really want the little ones, 5 pounds and under. They just get strong tasting quick when they get bigger, and they're rubbery. So I just like the small ones a lot better. And you keep 10 of them on Truman Lake, and 10's a very easy number to obtain most of the time. It's not impossible, but you get a bunch of them in the 5-6 pound range. They got to be 26 or under, or 34 and over. And I don't want to keep the overs, and you can't keep them in a slot. So the 26 and under, 26-inch fish ain't that big.
That's perfect right there.
Anything underneath that, they're so overpopulated with little fish that they can't get to the growth size for 34 and over, 32 and over. So let them get in that slot limit. Once they get in that slot limit, they have a chance of getting over because you can only keep 2 of the overs there per day. And, of course, there's no commercial fishing. So trout liners don't do as well with blues. They do catch them, and limb liners, but not like the flatheads. Those are the ones that the guys using limb lines, trout lines, stuff like that. That's the one that they're targeting with live bait. Jug fishermen catch a lot of blue cats, but normally not the big ones, but they do catch some. But they're just, once they get in that slot limit, you're going to end up getting the amount of larger fish now, since that has been introduced to Truman Lake, is tenfold. There's a lot more bigger fish than there ever was before. Now, will there ever be Alabama style fish? Absolutely not, because we don't have the growing season they have down there and the amount of bait or food for them. Shad is so easy to get on Wheeler Lake. It's just friggin' unbelievable. And for the most part, they are on Truman, but they're not this big. They're small. And the growing season is like a third shorter than it is down south. So we're never going to get the amount of big fish that they do on there. But there's been some 80s caught out of Truman, and that's pretty good fish for the state of Missouri.
That's a good fish almost anywhere. That's a big fish.
It is, but they're very limited.
Mm-hmm.
I only know of 2 that's been caught on Truman Lake. But if you want to get into the big fish, just go to Missouri and Mississippi. There are lots of them there, especially Missouri, because there's no commercial fishing there.
Heck, that Cumberland River does good for a bunch of people too.
Yep. And I have a nephew that lives just almost on it, not on it, but really close. So I could go down and visit him, and we could go fishing down there. So that'd be fun. I haven't seen Michael in a year or 2, so I'm about to do. What do you got going on Monday night, Mark?
Monday night, I'm going to try and get out and fish. Since I wasn't able to do anything, a show or fish on Monday, I want to get out and fish this Monday. Hopefully the weather will hold up. If not, we'll figure something out.
Do you think you're going to have your boat back by then?
I better. Oh, why did you? Now you just jinxed me, Lyle. Thanks, bud.
No, I just thought I'd ask.
I was worried about this. I'm going to rant here for a second. I knew if I'd get a new boat that I was going to mess up my fishing season. And I kind of wanted a new boat, but I didn't want it to mess up my fishing season. And that's exactly what it did. So there's always next year. Either that or I'm going to be traveling during cold weather. We're going to see.
Well, that's okay, too. You have to leave your zip code for that, though.
I know. Stop it. You're listening to Josh too much. How about you? What do you got going on Monday?
Let me check here. Monday on Catfish Weekly, we got Ted Ellenbecker going to be our guest.
Awesome. Ted's a good guy.
He has got a great show lined up for us. He's going to be talking about structure fishing for flatheads.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it probably will relate to all catfish, but yeah.
Gosh.
But it'll be a great show. Ted always does a great show. He contacted me the other day. He says, "Man, I got this, and I want to do it, and this is why I want." And the reason was right because it was just right. But he'll be a great show. Ted Ellensbecker is always a great show, and we'll just turn him loose and let him go like we usually do, and he'll do good, and he'll tell you how to catch more fish. I promise. So there's that.
It'll be a good show. Everybody tune in Monday night, Catfish Weekly. Chad
will be on with the bait shop on Thursday night.
I just told him to tune in. Why would you want to scare them away? I know.
I don't know if Josh is going live this week or not. He has been, except for the week that he got his tooth pulled. And then we'll be back here next Wednesday on Panfish Nation.
Yes, we will.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you then.
Have a good night, everybody.